The worst advice I've received was find your niche, because I don't think niches alone build successful creators. I think audiences do. Nobody wakes up and says, I want to watch a video about productivity. They think, I need to stop procrastinating. The audience, people who want to stop procrastinating, comes before the niche, productivity. And why is this important? Because a lot of creators think, what do I post? In reality, they should be thinking, who do I want to help? That way, you'll never run out of ideas. Your page is a portfolio, and people, when clicking on it, should be able to describe your content in one sentence, and that means why they should follow you. I try to avoid the word niche because it makes people think that you can only talk about one topic forever. I prefer the word market. For example, I chose the market computer science students who are looking for internships with no experience, not just the niche computer science, because then I could be talking about Alan Turing creating the first computer, the best data structures for Python, top 5 coding strategies. No, when people think about the niche fitness, the market should really be weight loss, and even better if you can sub-market. So weight loss for mums, weight loss for new mums, weight loss for new mums using a keto diet. The further you can sub-market, the better. When you know the market you're helping, a group of people with a problem, you always know what to post. And I found it easy just to talk about myself 1 or 2 years previous. Computer science students looking for internships with no experience, that was me when I started university. What an easy market to choose from. Creators either make one of 2 mistakes. They're either selfish and they talk purely about themselves, no value to anybody, or they talk about everybody, try and people please, try and tailor their content so that everybody wants to watch. You need to find your market and your person. And how can you create that person? We'll split it into 2 parts, demographics and psychographics. Demographics means age, location, occupation, stage of life, their background, and then even more important, arguably, psychographics. What are their desires? What are their struggles? What do they need help with? So I used myself a year or 2 previous. I was a computer science student, that was my occupation. My age, 18 to 22 year olds. My background, I'd just done A-levels in computer science, but my psychographics were, I wanted to land an internship. I struggled with confidence. I was moving away from home for the first time. All of these things help tailor your audience, and once you have that, you need to make sure that it's multi-passionate. People don't just have one interest, they have a variety of interests, and it's important you can find those interests and make them your content pillars. For example, as a computer science student, I was moving away from home, so I struggled with confidence. Confidence was one pillar. I wanted to work on my personal branding because LinkedIn was so important for me to get that internship. Also, I wanted money because the whole reason I wanted the job was so that I could afford to provide for myself in the future and for my family. Next is communication. Being a computer science student, I know that the hardest part wasn't the coding, it was getting past the interviews and being able to communicate my value to my employer, and also to be able to make friends. So these are all things that come down to your content pillars alongside just the target audience. That's the difference between talking about a topic like computer science and talking about everything to do with computer science, the first computer by Alan Turing, AI, cybersecurity, and then talking about the niche, somebody, a person, struggles, desires, wants, occupation, background. Now that you've got your market, your person, your pillars, the best content comes from where these 3 things overlap. Authority, what do you know? Passion, what do you enjoy? And demand, what do people want? You can't just have passion only. People follow you to learn how to build a house and you start talking about football, but you can't not have passion, because you could talk about trends, things that are really exciting, but if you're not passionate about it, you're going to burn out. And you can't have authority only. You know a lot about carpets, but you don't enjoy talking about carpets. You'll burn out, it's unsustainable, and nobody wants to hear about carpets. But at the same time, you can't not have authority. For example, imagine I started talking about mums, being a pregnant mum, when I don't know about being pregnant. I have never coached somebody who's pregnant. I'm not even a woman. So these 3 things wouldn't make sense unless they all come together. You can't talk about passion only. I really love football when people follow me on how to build a house, and you can't not talk about passion because you could follow trends that people really want to see, or you could be really knowledgeable about boxes, but you'll get burnt out because you're not talking about something you enjoy. Your audience will be able to see that. The best creators create content where they have authority, genuine passion, and there's real demand for it. Now you need to find your message. What do you want people to learn, feel, and achieve by following you? What do friends and family say you're good at? What beliefs do you have and what experiences shape those beliefs? When I started content, I thought there's so many people making content about university, but they're either really informative, so they tell all the good points, but they're not engaging enough, or they're really engaging skits, but I haven't learned anything from watching these videos. I felt I could do a better job by combining the two. That was a strong belief that I had, and that was my message throughout the 4 years of university I had creating content. Think about, as a first-class computer science student who got 4 internships, I wasn't really passionate about coding. I thought the most important thing to get an internship was to have good communication skills, to be able to show that you're quick at learning, you can do a good job in the interview, and I could beat somebody who's really good at coding but couldn't get past the interview stage. So that was a strong belief I had, and that message helped build my content pillars, and those content pillars of internships, doing well academically, surviving and navigating university, helped build my content ideas. Then I was able to make videos about how to find good flatmates, how to survive exams, how to find an internship with no experience, how to survive your placement year. Now you've found your audience, you need to find your voice, your uniqueness. That comes from 3 things: your pain, your skills, and your experiences. It's all good and well having an audience and you'll be able to tell them tips, and now you need to relate to their struggles through their pain. That's how you create empathy. Now you need to give them your experiences. That gives you credibility. He's actually done this thing before. Now you need to give them your skills. Oh, he's actually provided value because he's got these skills that are really impressive. These things create the storytelling that attaches to your tips, your foundation, your audience, that separates you from other creators. It's all good and well being a first-class computer science student. Great, he can help me because he's 2 years ahead of me. But even better if I can relate to the fact that he struggled a lot with coding. He was coming from the same public school background as me. He really struggled with his grades in first year and was able to make a comeback. Not only is he impressive, but he relates to where I came from. In my content, I talk about struggling to fit in school, because people who also struggle to fit in school and can see where I've got to can now feel inspired and really build that community, not just the audience, but a community of loyal followers who like you regardless, who to you stand out, separates you from just your achievements. Now you found your voice, you need to simplify your content pillars. Try and pick 3 and make one of them the most dominant one. 80, 10, 10 for simplicity. For me, the #1 pillar was university struggles. Struggling to live in a shared kitchen, struggling to do well in computer science, to survive my placement year, to survive my internship, to network. That was my #1 thing, what I really wanted, and that came from my message of making university informative, but making it entertaining by relating to my struggles. The next 10% was internships, and the next 10% was academics. My experience and my authority. Try and find your #1 pillars from creating a broad list of pillars. You can always change in the future and adapt your content once you found the foundation.